Okay.
Let me just make sure everything goes through. And then I'm going to I'll pull up to the platforms. I'll pull up my Facebook page and YouTube. Here we are. Now let me tag you. So it'll go to your page at Susan. There you are. Boom. 166 mutual friends, including Kathy Mason.
Yes.
Okay, let me just get this straight. Right, we're not quite there yet. Boom, boom. And there we go. Right. Okay. Turn the volume off of that. Let's see. Okay, we got three there. And looks like, yeah, we got there. People are starting to come in now. Okay. Well, all right. We didn't do a show yesterday after doing one for 4 days in a row. Actually, five. Of course, we're used to doing, 60 to 80 of these a month, but like a lot of things, we're changing the pace and we don't really have a plan. It's just our souls are guiding us in these collaborations and co-creations as well as our individual lives. And we're going to keep coming out at least every day. I just don't know how often and get this thing going again as we head into the spring. So I have we have a new friend here. Uh, this beautiful sister comes by way of our sister, our friend, Kathy Mason, who does great work in her own right. And we're looking forward to collaborating with her in producing some new shows of substance and value. But yeah, we've got Suzanna Kennedy in the house. So everybody, let's welcome her. Thank you for coming in and sharing space with us and honoring us with your presence.
Oh, well, thank you. Aloha to you, Todd, and to everybody.
Oh, and that's right. Uh, I sent you an email, and your email has Kauai in it, right?
Yes, I live on
We,
Kauai last 23 years.
oh my God, we were there. Morgan and I lived there for 10 months in
Oh,
from late October 2018 until um, August the 7th, 2019. We lived just right outside of Kapa'a,
yeah.
uh, up past the school and the hospital. There's a organic farm up there, a big pink building. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, we lived there, and
Oh.
yeah, we were all over that island doing grid work and having incredible divine episodes and visitations and everything from dragons to little grays to just all kinds of stuff, really. It's an amazing place. I want to go
It
back.
is. It is. Yeah. We're in Kilauea on the North Shore.
Okay, you're in Kilauea. I
Mhm.
lived in okay, Kilauea, and then right after that is where I started out the first 6 weeks. A friend of mine lived right there, just on the other side of Kilauea as you're headed west in that rainy part of the island. Yeah, it was very
Yeah.
cool. I went down the first day. I stayed with her. I walked down to the this lagoon and I actually did it live on it the next day. But I went down to the lagoon and the tide was in, and I waded in the lagoon. I was just guided to, and it was about knee ankle to knee high, and I came across this cave on the other side of this brush that was on the perimeter of the shoreline, and inside of that cave was uh, quite a bit of multidimensionality to include some really powerful messages from dragons,
Ah.
dragons slash reptilians slash. But it was a very powerful. And then the next day I went down there and it was gone. That's Kauai. That's Kauai for you.
Yeah, multi-dimensional disappearance and reappearance.
So you've been living in Kauai for over 20 years.
Yeah.
Um, and you're obviously you obviously moved there as an adult. So tell us, how did this all start for you, or have you always been this strange, or or were you born this way?
Well, I think I was born this way, but when I turned 6, something happened. I think I had a scary experience maybe, and I shut it down for a while. And it opened back up when I was, well, right after I had my children. And
So you had something happen at 6 and then it reopened 12, 15 years later.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was, yeah, I think one of my children was having some health issues and the doctors couldn't figure it out. So I went to a medical intuitive and she had the answer for me. And it
Wow.
just really like opened up all that interest in whatever. So I took some classes in intuitive development and past life and yeah, and it all just opened up again. It was there all the time. I just had
Sure.
either I shut it down or my guide shut it down. Something happened.
Are the parents or the earth or the conditioning shut it down? That's what most
Well,
of the people have.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was because my parents were freaked out about my
Yeah.
strangeness.
Well, like I said, 4,500 shows, and most of the, I would say the pattern of the people's lives is generally the same, which is I was born with it. Uh, I may or may not have had one big event, but I had enough of them to know something was going on. Then I was suppressed, and basically either parents got scared or they told me my imaginary friends were not real or whatever the case was, or Santa Claus wasn't real, whatever the case was. And then kind of like you're talking about, kind of go into the young adulthood, the matrix, merry-go-round, and then something wakes you up. But it doesn't sound like, because we've had a lot of people, that come in, it's on or about 2012. But there are quite a few that come on over the years, particularly women, who it was 2000 or 1990 or 1985 or even some back into the 60s. It sounds like it came early for you. Did it come before 2000?
Yeah. Well, my interest in it came back. Yeah, when I was about 26, I think. But then I had a spontaneous Kundalini awakening in 1997.
Okay.
That really, opened me up really, really wide. It was a
Uh,
really big thing where, changed my whole personality, all my values,
yeah.
and now I'm on a mission, So,
Joe, well, that's another good thing about 2024 is we know we're not alone. So
right.
let's go back, 'cause there's a whole lot of stuff to unpack in here, because it's so important, because it's not linear, it is quantum, and there's so many people. Like we had somebody on uh just a few days ago, and it happened for her in 2017, or I'm sorry, 2019. And that's another thing, you see people that are waking up or whatever, you know, proportionately later in the game, but yet they're at the same place we are.
Yeah.
It's like that information moves so fast. At 6 years old, what kind of thing happened? You don't have to go into detail, but was it like apparitions, visitation, ETs, ghost? What were you?
Yeah, I think it was a ET visitation.
Okay,
I had to go back with like hypnosis and find out what happened. And
okay,
what I remember is feeling like I was floating up into the sun.
right.
And and um, and then I heard my mother calling my name kind of frantically. And so I came to her and she was like freaking out. Where were you? And I showed her right where I was laying in the sun. I felt like I
Uh-huh.
was floating in the sun. And she says, no, I checked there. You were not there. And
Wow.
so
Wow,
I, back, yeah,
yeah, because you hear a lot of people like myself, a lot of people have out of body experiences or near death experiences. To me, it's pretty much the same thing, other than the trauma. Some people have pretty serious traumas that send them near death. Um, but and I, can totally identify with leaving the body and feeling that. that force of leaving the body and the cold density of the body you're leaving. Yet I was in front of people and I never disappeared. You actually dematerialized.
Yeah, I think that she stopped whatever was going to happen, or I came back when she called me, but I don't remember anything
Yeah.
other than the feeling of floating in the rays of the sun, and it was really pleasant.
Let me ask you this. A lot of people refer to past life regression, and we've done a lot of different things on this show over the years, to demonstrate different modalities and stuff. I've heard different things from past life regression. I know there's different types of past life regression. Um, and I've never actually done it. Um, but I've always wondered about it because there's certain things that happen in my life that I'd like to know more about. Similar to what you're talking about. Like, I don't remember anything. Let's go back to that time. But like, what has it, what, how did it go for you in the past life regressions? And kind of as a follow-up, do you as a practitioner do that type of thing?
Uh, I don't do that type of thing. I could. But that's not where my focus is. For me, I took some classes and I was able to, I went from all angles. It was like a 4-year discovery exploration. And so I learned how to remember them for myself. I learned how to guide another person through remembering for themselves. And then I also looked at just doing the reading for the other person. So yeah, I explored a lot of different things. And then at one point it was just like, okay, done that, and I think I realized that, who I am now and who we all are right now is a culmination of
Right,
all of those experiences. And you don't necessarily have to remember or relive
right,
any of them, that
right,
all of that wisdom is within you, and
right.
you can tap into it whenever it's needed.
Yeah, that's a lot you just said. That's a lot said in, let's just, for comparison purposes. I mean, that is a lot. That's a big statement to say in 2012. Uh, and it's a huge statement to say in 2024 because things have changed so much. And I'd love to get into this at some point in the discussion. And what I mean is that there was obviously a lot of people that got jolted and woke up. And 1997 for you. I mean, it's all over the board. I mean, I had two Kundalinis when I was, it would have been like what, 85, 87 in that range, but really didn't take off until later. It's just so funny how everything happens. And I think that's important because so many people are going through the type of things that you've gone through. And even though it's happening now, your story can help, your coding can help. But as far as like uh, the situation in regard to us being the composite of everything and not having to relive every trauma to obtain what we lost or to obtain the gold from the shadow or even channeling transmissions, remembering every last detail. A lot of people have been talking recently about, oh my God, this stuff is coming in so fast. I don't even have time to understand what the heck it is. But I think overall, I started to notice on the show because many of the people that would come on are practitioners in some sort of way. And late 2019, I noticed that people started talking about how they were dropping modalities, modifying their approach. Many of them said that each session became its own customized session. It wasn't like a set way.
Right.
And ultimately, almost like a shift, like a handoff, like in a baton race, right? Where it was going from uh, the practitioner doing the energy work, or at least from that belief system, um, turning into the practitioner showing them how to do it for themselves, basically a shift to full-blown self-empowerment, which has been interesting to watch in the Lightworker Starseed communities over the last year or two, because I don't think we thought we were going to have to get rid of the identities that got us back into the party. You know what I mean? But yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Has your practice had any major evolutionary changes through these last couple of years, or is it shifting for
Yeah.
you?
Yeah. Well, I originally after my Kundalini awakening and could see that even though I was connected, reconnected or perceived the connection between myself and source, I could also see that there was programming, subconscious programming, that locked me into that personality, that self-identity. And I knew that if I didn't clear that out, that I wasn't going to be able to, be who I really am and do what I came here to do, which became very important to me. So, yeah, I created a modality that's called emotional mental deprogramming system. And I never actually feel like I do energy work, like I'm doing transmissions, although it might
Right,
be happening.
right,
Um, I've always guided people to do it themselves. It's like
right,
I'm the navigator, but you're in the driver's seat.
right,
So the emotional mental deprogramming system is, set in a guided meditation type style, but I'm guiding you to do it for yourself.
right,
And so that, and I turned that into like a digital product that people could do on their own because that's what my guides were telling me. There's going to be so many people that want to do this that you're not going to have time to do one-on-one sessions.
right,
So, yeah, so that's been available for over 20 years. But recently, just back in August, I got the message to upgrade that program. And so now I'm offering, I'm still addressing what I call the six core issues that we all have in common, but the way I'm doing it has really changed. So instead of a digital program, I'm doing it live with a really small group of people. And and I'm able to tap into their energy and their
right,
frequency field, the collective of that group, and then channel what they need to hear, the words that they need to hear for their programming, because the
right.
subconscious programming, it's in, kind of the right hemisphere, and it's, it likes pictures and archetypes and stories, so the guidance in that way is really effective. And so even though I've done the whole program for two groups of people now since August, every everyone is different, even when I'm addressing the same issue, because it's for those people who are there in the language that they need to hear it and the imagery that they need to see. And yeah, so that's really changed a lot. And I totally enjoy that a whole lot more than just selling packages off my website. And I don't get to interact with people. So I really love this group style.
And so the group style that you're doing, is that in person or online?
It's online, it's on
Okay.
Zoom.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
And now you said that it was digital, if I understood you correctly, and then it shifted to this format.
Mhm.
Um, do you feel that, and do these run like one session, one off, or is it like a few different ones?
There's a series of six sessions,
Okay, I got you. I got you.
and one, each one is working with a different part of the consciousness and in
Right,
different parts of, what I call the core issues, the core programming errors that we got because we were born on this planet with this foundation that is the illusion of separation.
yeah,
And so I
yeah,
think that actually is the seed of all of our problems is this illusion of separation and all of the
yeah,
false beliefs and false programmings that we carry with us about ourselves.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I agree. And then because that oneness and that connectivity is there, and then yet you're there and I'm here. And to me, I feel like that's the unique the very unique part of our experiment or experience is to, in this level of density, is to actually physicalize oneness, I guess you could say. And I know too, just having been plugged in to this scene, I guess, and through the show and such and Soulgy, and I've noticed over the last couple of years now. Let me just back up for a second. There are a lot of people like yourself, and I could name quite a few of them that will go back, 10, 15, 20 years that have, hung up a shingle on the internet and developed a community. A lot of these are, again, like a lot of the demographics in many of the groups and platforms, it's, anywhere from 65 to 95% feminine.
Mhm.
And they're strong. They're kind of like a strong, silent force that's been in the background. A lot of these stories from these ladies that we've had on the show led lives of hermit, recluse, estranged from family, doing the grid work, anchoring, just amazing. And you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
But what I've noticed, or at least maybe it's been more pronounced or publicized over the last couple of years, has been these group gatherings where there is probably a practitioner type facilitating the gathering, and the group comes together, and for a series, like in your case 6 or 7 sessions, and kind of, I think this is kind of what you're talking about, like you're actually dipping into the collective beehive intelligence of that group. And I was just wondering, because it sounds like that's kind of what's happening with you, what type of feedback you're getting from the people that come in and participate in these groups. Can you see and sense the unity and the oneness? And are you seeing their voices come through as well?
Yeah, yeah. And as a matter of fact, that is, something that they often say. Even, I have a group going now with, it's got 12 people in the group, and we're meeting once a week. And they say, I just love this community. It feels so good to be with other people who are
Yeah.
going through the same thing I'm going through. And, and then at the same time, when I'm doing these sessions, which I feel like I'm channeling them in some way,
Mm,
they're also saying, I thought you were talking directly to me.
mm,
Even though there's 12 people, they would each say the same thing. And
mm.
so it's a strange phenomenon, but it's working really well. And the last group I had half of them were people who've been with me a long time and have always done anything that I offered. And then the other half was people that were completely new to me.
Oh, cool.
And I expected the people that were completely new, that hadn't done anything before, would have, a dramatic effect, which they did. But even the ones that had been with me the whole time said, oh, you really took this to a whole nother level, a level of depth and expansion. So that was surprising and delightful for me to hear.
And through your work and through your, just your daily life, on all parts of it, in these groups, are you, so I know some, uh, everyone has different specificities, I guess, in terms of what their intel is, if you want to say it that way. Sometimes it's more personal. Obviously, it's probably always personal, but sometimes there's a collective feel to it. And I was just curious too, in kind of interacting with these groups through this time that you're spending with them, does a collective thing come through? And I don't mean necessarily worldwide, although that's something to consider, but I mean, like, even within the group, like, in other words, is the majority of them, or all of them, or some of them picking up on the same thing at the same time, given the energies that are present on the earth at any given time on a given day?
Yes, yes, because we always start out with, how has your week been going? What are what are the breakthroughs? What are the challenges? What are you seeing out there in the world? So I have two groups that they've done everything, I've ever offered, and now they want to do world service. So
Mm,
they're coming and reporting on what they're seeing and how we can use our love, energy, and intention to help what's going on and help ease this transition that we're all going through. But yeah, there was another question in there that I wanted to address, but it kind of went away.
Well, I think it just like, because telepathy is coming on and intuition
Oh, yeah.
go ahead. I think you got it
Yeah,
now.
I
Go ahead.
remember now. So there's a few people who have said, and it's usually the same ones who tend to be more visual and more clairvoyant, but they would say, I was seeing right before you described it verbally, I could see that. So my verbal is following what they're seeing. So it's more like I'm reporting on what's going on.
Right, right. Yeah, like a truly evolving unified field. My wife does groups and has for a couple of years, and I usually sit in on one a week, and you see a lot of that. You see the shared experience of the gathering. You see um, kind of a concurrence of what the collective is presenting to everyone. Um, and that continuity, I think, builds confidence. And I know it was probably a year ago, maybe a year ago. I think she was about a year into it, and I remember her telling me at some point through some of the direct transmission she got that there were groups beginning to form all over the world. These small cells, like sleeper cells, right? And I often marvel at that because I know, just as sure as we're sitting here, that we don't have to publicize, verbalize, sensationalize these. Just as you take an individual woman, I can think of so many of them over the years that in 1995 had to step away from her family and lived in a room, and the family thought she was crazy, and then she got moved to another side of the world and was doing work with at monoliths and sacred sites, and so you think about the energy of that person, one person, and the impact that it would have, like tuning forks. But then to have a group, it's even more expanded because we know the science or the math is exponentialized.
Right.
And then to have many groups, it just serves. I think it serves us to recognize that, because I think that's the accelerator for
Mhm.
this transition we call ascension. And I'm just happy to know people that are doing it and to be able to afford a platform that gets the word out, basically. Because, like you said a minute ago, in your own way, it's one thing to go through a life, as so many people have come on this show and written. Oh my God, I thought I was the only one. Through the description of what we talked about in most people's journey, but to actually spread that a little bit further and say, hey, we're doing this over here in Kauai. I'm doing this over here in tech, and there's all these cells all over the world. That's such a powerful mechanism.
Yeah. Well, and I like the group dynamic too, because even, I welcome them to talk about their challenges, when they're going through this process. And, somebody that's brave enough to share, because, you've got some people that are, oh, I woke up with so much joy and, it sounds wonderful. And then the other one who's really struggling. And, but they're brave enough to share it. And then, oh, three other people had that same struggle.
Yeah,
And, like I know, I think after the second session that I did in this series, right before I got on Zoom with everybody, I was hearing ask about anger, ask if anyone had anger come up. And I asked the question, it's like four people. It's like, I thought I was the only one. I thought I didn't do it right. I thought, and it's really good to be able to get, like you said, that validation. Yeah,
yeah,
that this is one of the normal side effects of doing this work.
right.
And but then they also said that they used one of my guided meditations that I give when you face a challenge, and that it went away right away. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing too that I see changing, and even within myself. Through this hiatus, and I started doing, my soul said, "Hey, you need to go on by yourself. You need to talk about your journey." And I'm like, I don't want to do that. And you know how it is. You got to do what it says. You click live and you don't have a choice at that point. But and I did a couple of little spirit reflection kind of things too, like, 5, 10 minutes. But that's one of the things that I've noticed in the comments that people have been making. And I didn't really understand why, because I really don't know what I'm doing. I'm just basically just telling it like it is, and in a very, I don't know anything, humble kind of way, I guess. I'm like, this is what I'm seeing, and I'm being moved to share it. Now, my point is, what they're saying is, uh, someone last night, I think, mentioned the word, "Oh, you're very brave," and I thought, I wonder why they're saying that. But this is where I'm going with it, and I think this is happening to us. So, we see this unity, this oneness, through this mechanism or vehicle we call ascension, light worker circles, star seeds, et cetera, et cetera. Uh, and we've spent a lot of time looking at, oh, look what Suzanna can do, and look what Todd can do, and look what so-and-so can do, and look what so-and-so can do. But I think the place that we are starting to arrive now, and we may have overlooked, and it just wasn't the right time, is the human part of it.
mhm.
Is the things that, in other words, what I'm saying is, I'm seeing more people saying, "Hey, I'm having a rough go of it. I may have all this stuff going on. I am that composite, but you know what? Today, I'm having a rough go of it, and
Mhm.
the energy just kicked my butt, or whatever the case is." And I think that's really, it's pretty spectacular to think that after all this multidimensionality, it's the very mundane human that's on point, and that really brings in that last piece of alignment. Eh, so, I think that's something that I've been seeing. I don't know if you've noticed that in your interactions with your clients.
Yeah, well, the group, after a couple of meetings, they do feel, much more comfortable with each other. And so they are more honest about, what what they're going through. I mean, in general, uh, this has been a really graceful way to move through, uh, that subconscious programming and the unexpressed emotions from the past, and whatever. So,
Yeah.
yeah, there was one day, and I told the group about this, like the next day, I was in a real funk, and I, just felt depressed. I felt kind of angry, kind of like, what am I doing? Am I making any kind of difference? It was just
Right,
one
right.
of those. And then, I'm hearing what I'm saying, and I remember that somebody in the group had said something almost exactly like that. And what I told her was, go take an apple cider vinegar bath or get in the ocean. And it was like, okay, Susanna, follow your own advice. So
Yeah.
it was too cold to go in the ocean, and I took an apple cider vinegar bath, and it was like it cleared it up right away. So, that's one of the things I like to share with people is, yeah, the journey can be more graceful if you have some tools to work with that
Yeah.
that can
Yeah.
help you.
Yeah. 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 I mean, and the way things have moved in January and February, the way information's moving as well. I know for myself, and I'm not really been a real strong discipline or advocate of certain things, but they shift as time goes on. But what I've noticed this year, and even at the tail end of last year, was because things are moving so fast, and because things can come in so quick, really basic stuff, like breathing,
Yeah.
just stopping, stepping outside, you know what I mean? Turning the phone off at
Yeah.
night, just different things uh, that seem to be driven by the nervous system in the body,
Yeah.
which I know a lot of people have talked about the last couple of years of how it's coming on board and even becoming a very strong voice in the collective active consciousness of our being.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the nervous system is, we really have to pay attention to that and really pamper it because of all of the energies coming in. So not only the sun, bringing through the high frequencies that's causing everything else to come up to the surface, but the EMFs and the microwaves and, all of that. And yeah, our nervous system it could feel to some like it's being attacked. So those ways to soothe it and bring it
Yeah.
back to balance, like grounding in nature. And, I live on
Well, I
an
think it's like
island,
a,
so I can go in the
oh
ocean.
yeah. Yeah, you got it easy over there. I mean,
Yeah.
that place is a paradise. We got called, by the way. We thought we were going to be there forever, and we got called. We got called. You're going to the mainland. You got work to do. And we did. We did a lot of grid work. Yeah, going back to that. Yeah, it's like again, it's like we have this, on so many different levels, but I mean, like, on a personal level, we have our team or our monad or our soul family or our tribe that's really us. It's that etheric family. Um, uh, and then uh, all of a sudden, in all these aspects that we've received code from, or word code, or art code, or part of us, whether they be past lives or specific transmissions or channelings. Um, and then it's literally as if the human body is the soul, and it will have an equal voice. It is an equal aspect. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's literally like David and Goliath. You got the whole world out there that we've had this big picture all this time. We've had to give all this precedence to and power over to, and now people, and thank you, COVID, people are starting to say, "Hey, wait a minute, I don't think I'm going to do that. Come hell or high water, I'm not going to go against my soul." And I
Right.
see it happening more and more every day with people in all different, walks of life.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's one of the common things I hear when people come to me is I want to know what my soul purpose is.
Hmm.
And I see that question like our everyone's soul purpose is the same as far as I'm concerned. And that's to embody your soul and live from your soul. But I think some people have soul missions,
Right.
where they can use their special gifts and talents and service to the all. But not everybody does. Embodying your soul and letting it radiate, that is a tremendous amount of high frequency energy that you can radiate, and it has a ripple effect. So
Yeah.
some people just don't need to do anything else but just be their soul expression.
Yeah, I was telling my wife last night, I saw this video, and it was this gentleman who was, I guess you could say, was part of a group, and I guess in this case was speaking on behalf of the experience that they had, which was they had some type of equipment that they were measuring the energetic resonance. I don't know the exact nomenclature terminology that they would use, but they were measuring the power of the heart,
Mhm.
the force of our field, of our force field, of our soul, I guess.
Yeah.
And he says, do you know what the highest, the most powerful, uh, uh, expression or emittance is from the human? And it was like love. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, love is the second highest. That 4,000 times more powerful than that is authenticity.
Mm.
So I could see it being a little bit more, but to be that much more, that to me speaks of the spirit. Something's going on with that. Like and I've noticed that in Soulgy over the years, especially as we've gotten into this year, and everybody's kind of, including me, kind of like taking little baby steps coming out and, okay, what's this like now? And what am I supposed to do? You hear a lot of people saying, oh, like you were saying earlier, what's the point? Am I making a difference? who do I think I am, to put up a post saying this and that. But these questions I think are good. I mean, these questions are really good. And I think that is kind of part of what we're getting used to, is being able to be raw and authentic, and having to still um, acknowledge the patterns that we came out of, because in the patterns we came out of, these things we might be saying to each other now would be upsetting, creating imbalance and conflict. So it's really an interesting walk. I think we're doing a great job. And on that note, having been in this for 25 years, over 25 years, since that Kundalini in 97, when you look at 97 through 24, where we're at today, just as a whole, as a team, what are your thoughts? Did you think we would make it this far? Did you think it would be like this? What do you think our, prognosis is presently? And, without getting into, oh, we're going to have a solar flash and this and that, because I mean, we know all that's metaphor, but like, how do you think we're doing, and how do you think we'll do from here?
Yeah, well, back then, I foresaw what's happening now. And so, but I didn't know how long it was going to take. I thought we would be experiencing this a lot sooner than we did. So, yeah, I think what I see is that we're going through a planetary detox of the denser energies, and it's raising our frequency, the planet and humanity and everything, other inhabitants of Earth.
Yeah.
And it's going to just raise it out of all the struggle and stress that that illusion of separation created. So that illusion created all of the institutions and all of the different things that we see falling apart, which I knew it would.
Right.
And but I also was shown that there were so many people like you and everybody else I've been talking to lately that have, incarnated specifically at this time and are
Yeah.
bringing in the new, I call them paradise technologies. And that could be, inventions, but it could also be consciousness tools. It can be a lot of different things, but people who came here specifically to bring certain gifts that can be presented now that the old systems have fallen apart. And so it's
Yeah.
very exciting, and I'm very optimistic. And I don't know how much longer this breakdown is going to take, but I know what I can see on the other side, which is really great. It's going to be
Yeah.
worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. You said a lot there. And I think too, like, it's funny because if you go back a few years, of course, I think the first time I saw the solar flashes coming was in 2017. Then I heard it again in 18 and 19 and so on. And I'm not making fun of anybody or throwing shade at anybody, because again, it's all metaphoric, and none of us have all the answers. But um, oh God, I just lost what I was going to say. Oh, yeah, and you had these different theories too. 4 spaceships were going to land in each quadrant of the Earth, pick everybody up, take off. Earth blows up, we go somewhere else. Or you got 2 Earths, you got 3 Earths, you got 4 Earths splitting. And I think that's another thing that's starting to kind of settle in, because of the what you would call, like, say, the out of body connections and experiences, and they kind of woke us up and like, oh my God, I'm not just Todd, I'm this too, and I'm that too. And but then it's kind of like, the soul keeps pushing us back into the body, saying, no, no, it's all right here. So oneness and unity and connectivity uh, at that level then changes belief systems that, hey, maybe we're not going anywhere. Maybe it's all right here. Um, and because I mean, what are our lives representing but transformation?
Mhm.
And energy can't be destroyed, right? So,
Right.
I mean, what a wild place to end up in in the human incarnations plural, and to end up literally like the dog that was chasing its tail the whole time. It's been us all along, you know. But
Yeah.
it's a weird thing.
Hmm.
It's a
Yeah.
weird thing.
Well, I mean that when we come in and forget who we are, I mean, it's just the whole life is a journey back to remembering who we really are and how, I mean, I see all of these different aspects of me in higher dimensions, all living all these lives and, focusing on one particular gift to perfect it and, you
Mm,
know, and then like giving that to me through my heart, and just saying, I perfected this and here you can use this, for your mission as well.
yeah, yeah. And I think one of the things that people have experienced and are still experiencing is, like, if I just use myself as an example, I think most people could relate. When I first reawoke in 2011, there were aspects that I considered external of me, be they in the ethers or appearing as an apparition, in the same room. And still, there was this sense that that's external, that's not me. And
Hmm.
then people describe over the years different experiences they have where they, ritualistically, formally, just naturally begin to embody those aspects.
Right.
And then I know for me, I kind of got into this, and this would be like, say, the last half of last year. I'd be like, back in the day when I had that team out here, I could call so and so up, right? And now it's like I'm calling that part of me up, right? So there's been this whole evolution.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm just curious with someone like you, and I don't think there is any right or wrong answer at all. I think, again, I think the personal experience is actually carrying code that's not even verbalized. It's like in between the words, right? But like for you, because I'm sure you've had many, many, many experiences, like daily. You're one of those, it's just part of your day. Have you, feel, do you feel, because I think it could only be that, right? You can't just say it. Do you feel that everything that you've come across, these different aspects of you that you've been given these gifts, and just anything else, do you feel like they're truly part of you, or is there any part of it that you feel is external?
Well, I have a practice that I do, or a invocation that I do, which is um, I am Mahatma, which to me that means embodied I am. And so when I invoke that, the visual that I get internally is like an onion, like this body is in the middle of an onion and all
Right,
of those layers of me. And then I see them synthesizing, and then whatever is needed comes, through my heart and out. So I used to, when I first had the Kundalini awakening, it was an outside voice that didn't sound like me.
right,
And then that went away, and I thought, oh, my guides abandoned me. What happened? Did I do something wrong? And no, it just turned out that it's internalized, and now that's just
right,
my thought process. It doesn't sound any different to me. And
right.
I kind of missed that because I could tell when something was coming from a higher dimensional aspect of myself. Now I can't really tell.
Yeah, I think you hear a lot of people say that too, like all the fun stuff was back then.
Yeah,
It's like all the major stuff, the apparitions and the paranormal psychic occurrences that really wake you up, and really anchor you and root you in, which is amazing too, because even through the energies we've been through, God, to 20 January. and February have just been immense. I mean, I'm counting 5 cycles so far in February for myself anyway, where you're just like, it's almost like a big wave, like in Kauai on the beach, you get slammed by those waves and you get up and then another one hits you.
Mm.
But that, these, I don't know, it's just such a humbling experience. Uh, and I think that's always been a big barometer for me. In these, and that's another thing too, like this internal dialogue has shifted. I often just set it up like Todd, the divine human aspect speaking to the oversoul Todd. And let's have this conversation, right?
Huh.
I think a lot of people might work that way one way or the other. But yeah, it's like, I'm not going to say it brings us to our knees, but it probably does, a couple times a week. If it's not through sheer reverence because of the profound nature of the epiphanies or revelations or heart expansion, then it's out of confusion, momentary distress, fatigue. I know many of us are tired. There's no question about that.
Yeah, tired at a lot of different levels.
Yeah. I'm
So,
curious too, like someone like you, what have been like the 2 or 3 biggest I guess, psychic, paranormal, or just metaphysical experiences that you've had on a personal level, whether anyone witnessed it or not?
yeah. Well, the first one definitely was that Kundalini awakening. Yeah, there was another where I went into a meditation and I the day before I had committed my service in this world to the divine feminine. And then the next day I did a meditation and it I felt like I had bilocated because I could still feel my body, but there was part of me that was like out in the void.
Mm,
And for a moment there was, kind of everything and nothing. And then I had this experience of um, I am. It was like I wasn't, and now I am. And it's kind of like that feeling that you have when you wake up from a dream and you were dreaming, but you don't remember what it is, and you were someplace else and now you're here. It had that similar feeling. But yeah, so I am. And then I'm noticing movement, and it's like, what's that? And I look, and it's like, oh, that's me, just waves of energy.
mm,
And then like acknowledging I am, and that's me. Then I felt this extreme attention on me, like this really focused energy on me. And physically, it felt like it was like filling up my womb area.
uh-huh.
And it's like I felt like I was getting more and more pregnant and like I was going to burst. And then there was like stars and planets and things coming out. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm giving birth to, a solar system. What's happening? And it just kept happening in waves and more, focus and expansion and then birth. And it went on for quite a long time until I was actually physically exhausted and said, just let me breathe a few breaths before I birth the new universe. And so I totally get that reference in the Bible. And on the last day, they rested.
Yeah, she rested.
Yeah,
The mother
so
rested.
I'm not saying that I am the mother of the universe, but I was given that gift of remembering
Yeah,
how creation started and that remembrance of coming from source and emerging as an
yeah,
individualized consciousness that can create and experience its creations.
right.
And I feel like that experience, because it was so visceral, um, gave me the confidence to know that I am the creator of my reality and be able to hold that space for my clients when they want to create something new. Because
Right.
I can hold that space and they can entrain to that frequency to create their intentions.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, there's been quite a few women that have come on this show too, and otherwise, it's not all the information doesn't come out on Soul Speaks 5D. It's out there in other places too, where they talk about these energetic pregnancies, gestations, and just based on a few things that I've experienced, I often, as the days go by, I have a stronger belief, innateness or something, that there's been a lot of birthing going on the whole time. It's
Mhm.
just that a lot of what we're birthing energetically, most of it we don't see. But I'm convinced that what you experience, and you are the mother, every one of you are. And yeah, I think that's and these these are the type of occurrences I believe that that need to be brought into, I guess you could say, the mainstream. And going back to what you said earlier, just imagine, and I know some of you can, that having these type of experiences, and again, most of this is women, uh, which makes sense with the way the realm was set up and lopsided in nature. So therefore, we would have a stronger presence of the feminine in us coming back as we move it back into balance. But to be able to hear this, other women are going through this or experience these things, that think about that. I mean, the coding offered, the inclusion offered, the unity offered. I think that's really what's driving this earth right now, is this movement by the feminine, the mother, and now the masculine seems to be following, and it's getting exciting. What is your, and I know because a lot of women are very connected to the mother goddess and the divine feminine in service, and then in contrast to that, many women have had human incarnations, certainly this one, where they've had the other end of the spectrum, being a female incarnate in a patriarchal, where they're suppressed. What is your relationship with the divine feminine, mother goddess, if you would give
Well, I
us
think,
that?
my moving up until my Kundalini experience, I was, in a female body, but really operated more masculine in the sense of very
Hmm.
mental dominance. And so that shifted me. And that was in the beginning, it was like the pendulum swung the other way, and where I was not very emotional before, now I'm way emotional, uncharacteristically emotional. But then, the pendulum swung into, fell into the middle, and there's been a balance. So I think that it makes sense that the feminine um, would be more comfortable in these realms because they're more connected to the sense of feeling that isn't connected to the five senses.
Right.
And being able to give birth, how to hold a space for somebody to grow into. And so I think having the female, and what I've seen over the years, where it was like 98% female
Mhm.
that was coming to do. Now it's like I'm getting a lot of men. I'm very
Yeah.
happy about that. But we held the space for
Yeah.
them to step into and grow. And I see the men, when they do step into that, evolving really quickly
Yeah.
than we did.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that goes back to the quantum field, like we were talking earlier. Somebody wakes up in 1997, somebody's 2017, yet but because of the access to the collective coding or information or data, they can be up to speed in a
Right.
short period of time. Now, you said something really interesting. I don't think I've ever really delved into this on the show, but I'm sure, given the number of conscious women, as we're talking about, is proportionate to the whole. Um, that is to have taken on that mental, that masculine, being in the head,
Mhm.
uh, which I guess in a sense is turning off the emotions. I mean, what do women say about men? You don't tell us how you're feeling, right?
Right.
But do you have any remembrance of how you made that shift? I mean, I know that you had something occur in terms of the Kundalini, but was there any work involved in terms of turning on more feminine and turning down that masculine?
Yeah, yeah, I had to, it was a concerted effort to bring that into balance. And the way that that showed up for me was, well, I had uh, gotten the information that my long-term marriage, the contract, our soul contract had ended. So
So this
we,
was in 97 when it happened? Oh,
yeah,
okay. So
yeah.
you got
And
you got
so,
hit with the big bang all at once.
oh, everything changed.
That's usually how it works, right?
Yeah. And so, yeah, and I was really successful in the business world. And I was, I was in a consulting firm in the Detroit area. And so we were consulting with the automotive. So I was the only woman in, surrounded by men, and I was leading, So um, yeah, after the Kundalini, I obviously saw the need to bring that into balance. And so I'm out of my marriage now and starting to date, and had been just allowing myself to feel more, and my senses were heightened because of the Kundalini.
Right.
And I dated a man and had a very different experience than I had ever had before. And um, after he left, it was just a short little dating time. Uh, I was thinking about it, and I was just really grateful to him because he took the lead,
Uh-huh.
which allowed me to be in my feminine.
Right.
And as I was looking at it, he would like make a plan for a date, and
Uh-huh.
he would say, "This is what I'm thinking. How do you feel?"
Right.
Just by asking me how I feel instead of what do I think, put me into my feminine. And so I would feel into it. And I say, well, this feels good and this feels good. This part doesn't feel so good. Didn't ask me to explain it. He would just adjust it. And, the date would go. And I just like was really appreciating that. And
Right.
as I was appreciating that, I got this vision, and it was like my inner male was this strong warrior, but he looked like really battle weary, like tired and wounded and whatever. And my inner feminine was this little girl in a fetal position at the back of a cave.
Wow.
And this man, and through these couple of dates, activated something where my inner male, um, he just he went through this transformation. He's standing outside of the cave, and he's like getting rid of all of his armor. And he kind of turned into more like a wise king
Right.
who loves his people.
Right.
And that caused my little girl in the back of the cave to come out and stand in front of him. And he just like looked at her with so much love, and I could sense his feeling of protection
Right.
and wanting to make her life good. And she just started growing up and turned into this beautiful maiden. And, they fell in love with each other and off into the sunset. And I'm like, oh, that just happened. I just balanced, you know. So I actually make that part of one of my guided meditations is I share that with people, to help them balance their inner male and inner female.
Yeah. That's such a hot topic, I think, too, especially with all the, you know, so many words and labels have gotten overly connotated. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just twin flames. There's so many things, right? I mean, and again, going back to the feeling, I think that's what we're learning to do. But in terms of the relationship of the energies in this realm between the masculine and the feminine, that's like the last line of separation, I guess. But you bring up a really good point because having been in a relationship for a number of years, going on 9 years, through all of this in all different types of scenarios, and even observing, we've done a lot of couples on this show over the years. It's like that's another thing we're not going to get away from. What is our home frequency gender, I guess you could say, as it applies to the earth? I'm in a male body. It doesn't always work that way, but my point is that the way I'm seeing this happen, and I don't just mean on a personal level. I mean, like I look at it collectively, like how's this going to work? How's this patriarchal going to deconstruct and this other energy going to rise? And what's that going to look like? And of course, I hear just shut up and be present. Don't try to figure this stuff out. That's another thing that's going out the window, right? Trying to figure everything out.
Yeah.
But this, I don't know how I would describe this because I don't want to offend anybody. I want to make sure that I'm clear on what I'm trying to say. So as a man, there's a certain, I think, authority that you grant a woman, right? Yet that authority isn't an end all cure all. It's a mutual thing because by the same token, I think I'm not saying this is the perfect recipe. I'm just saying this is kind of how I see that balance, that Vesica Pisces, as we're heading down the road here, all of us. And so that authority that she then grants him, it's not as a, hey, you're my ruler, but you're my masculine. Just as he says, you're my queen, you're my feminine. So there's something about this mutual, it's beyond surrender, but this mutual allowance of the authority of that presence, let's say in this case, the feminine presence, to bring in all the virtues, all the skills, all the abilities, all the sensitivities, the pure essence of the mother, right? You bow to it. But at the same time, it happens the other way, which doesn't add up in the old human paradigm, but it does add up in this ever expanding multidimensionality. And your personal story sounds like that to me. That's what reminded me of it and helped me to verbalize it.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah, well, I think that I work a lot with the archetypes, and I do feel like we have an inner male and inner female, and the inner male is more around the mental body and thinking and analyzing and organizing and being active, and the feminine is more feeling, more intuitive, being able to sense things that can come in not through the five senses.
Right.
And the way I see them working together in sacred union, which is the name of my book, is
oh, that's the name of your book. We're
yeah.
gonna go to we're gonna go to your website before we get out of here. So we'll take a look at that.
Yeah, is that what I notice with intuition and with being able to feel into a wider field is that you don't always have the details.
Right.
So the feminine has the feeling, but
right.
And the masculine always wants to know why. Like if I say that doesn't feel good to me, I might not know why. And as
Right.
long as the masculine part of me or my partner doesn't insist that I have a logical, rational reason, and just says, okay, it doesn't feel right. Well, we'll figure out why it didn't feel right probably later, that'll come. But the respect that each has their own unique
Hmm.
gifts that
Right.
you put together, and it
Right.
really gives you a better picture. And so I call it inspired action.
Right.
So the way I do it is I first of all I go into my feminine part to feel into what are the best potentials, what are the best opportunities, and what does that feel like? And then I can describe what it feels like to my inner male, and then he can articulate the intentional commands that will correspond with that.
Right.
And so you need the thought, and then the feminine has the infinite love. So you have the divine thought and the infinite love, and you put that together, and that's creation. So you can do that, for yourself, or however you want to create your life. I guide my clients through doing that. But, so you can do that yourself because we all have the inner male, inner female, but you can also do it in a partnership, a romantic partnership, or a working relationship where, sometimes, somebody will hold the feminine energy and the other will hold
Right.
the masculine.
Yeah.
It's very flexible.
Yeah.
And I think,
Yeah. No doubt. Yeah.
we come in to these bodies, and I think before we come in, we're very conscious and we consciously choose what kind of body we want to incarnate into that's going to give us the best potential or the best opportunity to reach our full potential.
Yeah. Yeah. Next time I'm going to say, can my hair last a little bit longer? No, but I think you bring up a great point because no, because you were expanding on what I was saying, and you said it much better. That um, the feminine pulls it in. She pulls in the information, right?
Mhm.
Shares it, and I think the masculine, that what you were talking about, which was kind of the other side of it, but how do we do this?
Mhm.
That inspired action.
Mhm.
I need to go build this. You know what I mean? It's really strange too because as we're making this transition, I would say out of the old into the new. I felt like that there was a pop around 11/11 of last year, and I was told you're all on the other side now. None of that stuff can get you anymore, and go have fun and make the new earth basically. But
Yeah.
that what I notice is, yeah, you hear whether it's within my own feminine or my feminine partner or the feminine collective energy I might feel in a given situation. Um, here's the vision, uh, and then the man's more or the masculine's more of okay, let's build this thing, you know. But it's not like the Katie bar the door, bull in a china shop anymore, alpha male kind of thing. It's more of a uh, I think there's something about the feminine energy, at least I can feel this within myself, that says you don't have to do that.
No.
You don't have a deadline. You don't have to move so fast. You don't have to please everybody. You don't have to deplete yourself. You know, in other words, this is the first order of business. Your in-house care of yourself, and then everything from there will flow, right? Kind of thing,
Yeah.
which I think is that sacred union that you're talking about, the title of your book. Now, your book itself, when you talk about it's entitled Sacred Union, and that could be a very, very broad subject. I'm just curious just to kind of find out what's in it. Do you cover like any type of merging, be it distant or be it in person, with couples, be they romantic or not? I'm talking about helioscamos, soul merging, exchanging code in an open fashion. Um, something to that effect. Is that part of it?
Um, no, the subtitle of the book is Ascending to a 5D Paradise. So the focus here, the first part of the book is my journey to having that sacred union with my soul,
Right.
and then creating my version of paradise, which I have here on Kauai, and also attracting to me a sacred union partner. So I was here a year, and I was integrating a lot of what had been coming through, integrating it into me. And then I felt ready to call in a partner. And so, yeah, so I did my uh, blueprint for what does a sacred union relationship feel like? Because I always, that's what been my guidance. You got to go with what does it feel like and forget all the details. How do you want to
Right.
feel in
Right.
this?
Right.
And then let the universe, bring it to you. And yeah, and that was what I was also referring to in the creation of it. The woman feels it and tells her inner male, and the way he builds it is to set the intention and to bring the feminine energy into it, the divine love. So
Right.
he's got the intention, she's got the infinite love, which is the creative energy of the universe. It's the stuff. And when you put it together, then it tells the matter how to take shape and form. And that's how he builds it. And then the universe usually fills in the rest. And then, on an ongoing basis, once you've created this creation, once you've anchored it, then on a daily basis, you can tap in and say, okay, what do I do now today to stay
Right.
aligned with this creation? And it
Mhm.
becomes really easy. And like what you were saying, there's not a lot that you have to do in the physical to make it happen. It's more
Yeah.
like allowing and trusting that it's going to take shape and form, and then listening when there is a physical task that you're going to be asked to do to
Right.
move things along.
Yeah. There's definitely a spontaneous aspect to it as well. Like,
Yeah.
like when you're told to to move, move. It's like,
Mhm.
don't, why? I think the pushback conversations now are really going to fall on deaf ears, so to speak, with our oversoul, our soul, or higher self, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I and I know a lot of people, and why wouldn't they be? I mean, it only makes sense. You got to have two to get back to the one, right? I mean, you can't have oneness with the whole world if you can't even do it with another mirror, right? I mean, that's both, it's got like the extreme of the human condition, but it's also got the extreme of spiritual potential that's never been realized before because we've never done this before. Um, but yeah, so I think a lot of people are very interested in that. And I know there's some standard kind of takes on that, which is, I think, first and foremost, um, clean up your house and it'll come to you. Is
Yeah.
kind of the one way. Even though that's not bypassing, that's actually the straight up truth. Because even for any of us, we can't miss a step, right? The universe just doesn't work that way. And then I think too, I've heard, like, even in my own situation, um, you know, with my wife, and then I've heard other women talk about they actually made a list of what they felt or what they wanted or what they saw or what they dreamed. And it's pretty interesting how that stuff comes around. Is there anything else that in terms of attracting a external, because it doesn't have to mean necessarily that's a physical either. It could be an etheric partner. I know a lot of people like that.
Mm.
But is there anything else that you would like kind of uh, tell people that would work to their benefit in terms of creating that if that's what they want in their life?
Yeah. Well, definitely cleaning up their own consciousness, because you have to know that the law of attraction is always operating. And so it's like be what you want in the relationship. So if you want to do that, make a list of how you want to feel in that relationship. You got to feel it yourself. I mean, after the Kundalini experience that I had, I I knew that I wasn't who I thought I was, but I wasn't sure. Well, I could feel the vastness of who I was outside of this body, but then how do you integrate that into this body? And so there was a whole self-discovery of what is it that I do like when I don't have to worry about anybody else. What brings me joy? What irritates me? Who am I? And how do I integrate that? So I think it's a really important part of the process is to really just fall in love with yourself,
Yeah.
and that's, I know when my clients have reached that point, when I ask them, well, what do you want in relationship? And she'll say, the male version of me, then I know she's really come to that place of self-love.
Mm.
And yeah, I mean, I was in another birthing experience that I had where I got what felt like a download. And then I was told, consider yourself pregnant. A gift for the world is going to be birthed through you. And it took 9 months, but
Took
what
9 months.
yeah, what came through was what I call the Sacred Union program.
Mm.
Um, and then I changed the name to Divine Human. So that's an 8 step program. And one of the last one of the last sessions is having that merge with your twin flame. Because I was told for most people, a twin flame is not physical. It's a part of you in a higher dimension. And it could be what you think of as your guardian angel, or some other spirit that you thought was a guide is actually your twin flame. So merging that into my physical body, and when I did that, then that whole longing that I had for a partner, that sort of hurtful longing, it went away. And it was like, I love being me. I love being me. I feel whole. I feel complete. I don't need anybody else. It'd be nice to share this with somebody, but that awful longing feeling that I had before went away. And it was
Mm.
within weeks after that when I met my partner.
Wow. Mm. Wow. Good medicine, good magic, good formula. Let's if you're okay with it, can we jump over to your website? Are you good with that?
Sure.
Okay, let me just let me find it. Oh wait, hang on. Tech challenge. Tech challenge. Share. Boom. Boom. Get rid of this.
Mm-mm.
This. Okay. So this is SusannaKennedy.com.
Right.
Reality crafting with Suzanna. Yeah. I looked at this the other day.
Mhm.
And it's pretty I'm not complex and like complicated, but I mean like it's comprehensive. You've got a lot of stuff in here. You really do. So I guess this has been, how long have you had this site?
Well, it's always changing and evolving. I've
Yeah.
had it since I think I started on the web like in 98.
Okay. Wow.
1998, I created my first website. But I do
Wow.
want to point out that quantum peace activation for people
Oh, up
is
here.
it's a free gift there.
Okay.
And that is that's the meditation that I use before we start anything.
Okay.
Do the deeper work because it clears out their meridians and their chakras. It's the triple flame of divine light, divine love, and divine power. So I would encourage people to go get that as my gift.
Very cool. And I'm going to click on this one. Okay, manifest. Oh, this is what you were talking about, the 6 private reality crafting sessions. Got a
Yeah.
private session and then the Sacred Union, which is an 8-session virtual course. Very cool.
Yeah.
So these are kind of ongoing, it looks like, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then the other session, the other thing that they could do is the emotional mental detox,
Oh,
which
I
is
see this one here.
now
Yeah.
these are all yeah, most of these are digital programs. So except for the Sacred Union reprogramming, everything else is digital.
Right. So that they would go through it at their own pace as opposed
Mhm.
to meeting in a Zoom room with you and some others and
Yeah,
doing it that way. Okay, yeah, I got you.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh, you got quite a few in here. There's a whole lot in here, people.
yeah.
Have a look at SuzannaKennedy.com and then of course her the book was back here. I saw it. Where was it? Did I miss the book? I thought I saw the book
Oh,
earlier.
the yeah, you can go down
Oh,
again.
down?
Yeah, I think no, you passed it.
Yeah, I did. I did pass it.
Yeah, right there. Sacred Union
Oh, yeah,
Ascending.
there it is.
The last one is
Oh,
the
this
book.
one here. Yeah. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, yeah. All right. Yeah. How long have you had the book out?
Just since October, last part of October.
Oh, cool. Very cool. So it's still fresh.
It
It's
is.
still fresh. Excellent. And do you know, by the way, do you know Milana?
I do know a Milana.
Yeah, she's my, when I went to, because that was one of those things, right? Morgan and I had a divine union ceremony in New
Oh,
Jersey. Just, it was all spontaneous. It was just incredible. In summer of 2018. So I was traveling around doing the Sology thing, and I went to cover the Thousand Goddesses gathering in Washington, D.C. And on the way back, I heard you're going to Kauai, and I didn't even know what Kauai was. I figured it was in Hawaii. I asked my friend that was driving. He goes, "Oh yeah, I went there for my honeymoon for 17 days. It's a small island." So I had like, 450 bucks and oh, you're going to need more than that. And I checked and one way ticket was 440 bucks or something. It was like a special. So I went out there, but the funny thing was I was at JFK and, and I got a message from a lady, Milana, and she said, "I'm here." Now this woman had 100 friends on Facebook and we had one mutual friend. Go figure that. And she said, I've been here 30 years. I've got a place here. My one of my renters is a lot of people will rent like a bathroom and bedroom.
yeah.
It's open for a few weeks. You're welcome to come.
Nice.
And so I landed over there and she came and picked me up and took me to Callaway or whatever you call that part, the Northern Shore. But yeah, she's very special. She's a true Kauai auntie, no doubt. She's on stateside now, but yeah, she's an amazing person. I figured you would know her, especially living on the north side and having been there all those years. It's
Yeah, well, I didn't know that she moved to the mainland, but that's why I haven't seen her in a while.
yeah, she left and then went back. You know what? I
Yeah,
have to say she left and then went back, and then I think she went back to the mainland, but I may be wrong. She may be back. She may still be in Kauai, but I thought the last time I talked to her, it's been a while, probably a year since I talked to her. But yeah, just beautiful place. I could talk about Kauai forever, all the things that happened to us in 10 months. I'm sure you've had many, many things go on over there. And maybe we can get together again later in the year and expand the conversation and see what you're getting into and see what we're all getting into later in the year. But I just want to say thanks again for coming in and sharing space with us and honoring us with your presence, and all blessings to you and yours and all your endeavors.
Yeah, thank you, Todd. I really enjoyed our time together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll see you the next time, okay?
All right.
And thank you, Kathy Mason. Thank you, Kathy Mason. And don't forget soldernetwork.com. We're not dead. We just took one on a hiatus. We're putting this stuff on, these shows up on there now. We're going to be expanding. Yeah, just come give us a visit. You don't have to subscribe. You can check the place out. Take care, Suzanne.